All right, guys, welcome. My name is Terry Shanahan. I'm going to welcome you to the Get Real Challenge. I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of you inside the Facebook group. It's been fun. We've got a great community. We've got great people pouring in. I'm ready to make some changes in 2017. Ready to move towards real food. So, if you when you first signed up, you got two emails, and one of those emails was your login to the Paleo Transition, which was an existing online membership program, and that's a great baseline for your education. So hopefully you guys have gone through that. If you haven't, it's okay, but I'll get more into that in the detail. But if you have gone through that, then some of this is going to be a little bit of review. Some of it will be some new information. But the first thing, I just want to give you a little background on myself and my stories in the course. So maybe you've seen this, but I was born premature, had chronic sinus and respiratory infections, was really sick my entire life from literally from when I was born. Was in the hospital and my body weight dropped and I had a lot of complications when I was, literally weeks old. Had my first pneumonia at 6 months old and had chronic sinus respiratory infections, a lot of what was not diagnosed, but in hindsight was like autoimmune inflammatory problems for the first 24 years of my life. And when I was 24, I got really, really sick, saw 27 different doctors. They couldn't figure out what was going on. And kind of as a last resort, I met with this woman who was a totally crazy hippie chick. And again, this is back in 2005. So, guys, this is almost 12 years ago. And a lot of the stuff that is, the internet wasn't as prevalent. You couldn't just Google stuff and find answers to medical questions or to unexplained health issues. And so I met with this woman who was like a crazy hippie chick. I mean, she seemed nuts, but I had nothing to lose because I'd already ran the gamut of tests and specialists in traditional medicine. And so as a last resort, I followed her lead and she wanted me to, go on a gluten-free diet and give up milk and take some supplements and do this stuff. At the time, 12 years ago, seemed crazy, but I followed her lead. I did what she said. And within about literally 6 weeks, I was like a new person. It was unreal. I felt so much better. And so for the last 12 years, I've really been obsessed with nutrition and supplementation and performance. And it's my passion to get this information to people and get people the right information, because there's a lot of stuff in the media that's not right. There's just a lot of stuff that's controlled by money, controlled by special interest groups. And the people are controlling the information because in the end they're profiting from the solution. Well, my solution is really there's really nothing to sell other than to give you guys the best information to change your life. And so in this program, in this course, my goal is to share that with you. And so, guys, my background, I've done a lot of work with athletes and been fortunate enough to work with NBA All-Star Kyle Korver, Doug McDermott, a lot of NFL stars, PGA Tour professionals, and different people. Also Olympic athletes, CrossFit champions, different people from different sports. That's kind of one group of people I've worked with. A lot of the people I work with are body composition. So maybe like you are here because you want to lose weight, you want to keep it off, you want to increase lean muscle mass. The third group of people I work with and help is people who have health issues and, unexplained health challenges. And now you might be a combination of one of these. You might be an athlete and want to change your body composition, or you might want to lose weight, but you also have some nagging health issues like anxiety or depression or joint pain, or you don't sleep well, or whatever it may be. There's a lot of stuff that I believe can be totally controlled with diet and with lifestyle. And I'm going to teach you guys all about that in this program. Just going to make sure everybody's muted out. I'm getting a little feedback. I want to make sure. Let's see. All right. So, guys, one quick disclaimer. We're going to have some great guest experts throughout the next 6 weeks. We have medical doctors. We have functional medicine practitioners, chiropractor, other health and wellness professionals. But you just need to understand that I'm not a doctor. And even though we will have some doctors on this program and giving you guys advice, that doesn't take the place of your relationship with your doctor. So I just want to read this disclaimer, and this goes for the whole entire 6 weeks. I'm not a medical professional, and no part of this presentation should be taken as medical advice. Additionally, none of this information is intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease, ailment, or medical condition. This program does not replace any relationship that you currently have with your medical doctor and any medical professionals. You should consult with the medical professional prior to exercising, changing your diet, or taking any nutritional supplements. This information in this presentation and any other information in this program is intellectual property of Terry Shanahan and the Shanahan Plan. Distribution, sharing, or posting online of any of this information is prohibited without prior written consent. And obviously, guys, I love you sharing that you're doing the course and absolutely share that all you want. Share your meals. I'm just talking about the videos that are in the private membership site or the documents that are in there. All right, so let's move forward and talk a little bit about this. You got an email when you signed up again. You received 2 emails immediately. One of them was your login for the Paleo Transition Program, and that is a program that I put together to teach people how to move towards a diet of real food or a paleo diet. And I think the word paleo scares a lot of people. It's a word that I've used, and I'm a big fan of the paleo diet, but there's a lot of misunderstanding of it in the media, in the medical world. And so in the last year or two, I've kind of gotten a little bit away from that and just tried to move people towards real food. And so there's going to be plenty of people in this program that do great, and they don't have to eat a strict paleo diet. There's going to be people in here who have health issues, like some of the issues that I had, and you're actually going to have to eat even more strict diet than paleo. There's going to be some paleo foods you cannot have. And so we're going to get into all that, but I just want everybody to know that this is to be done at your own pace. And the idea is to move you, progress you forward to transition from the standard American diet towards a diet of real food. And that's our goal in this. And depending on what your goals are, depending on what you want, is how fast you're going to have to, make that transition and how strict you're going to have to get. So the private Facebook community, you guys already know you've been in there. You've been sharing your goals. You've been sharing meals and all kinds of great stuff. And that is going to be the key to success for a lot of you. These live weekly webinar presentations, they're going to be every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. You want to make sure you jump on those, or you are welcome to listen to the recording if this time doesn't work for you or you have a conflict. We're also going to have weekly guest presentations sent to you by email. Now, a lot of the practitioners that I've got, they're going to be in the majority of them have agreed to be in the Facebook group. So if you have a question, we can tag them. And also, I'll let you guys know before I do each of the interviews so we can post questions for each individual expert if you have a certain question for them. There's also going to be other bonuses delivered by email. Tomorrow, you should receive the Jerf Cookbook. It's an amazing 133-page, colorful, beautiful-looking cookbook. It's a PDF you can download. You can save to one of your devices, or you can print out. There's going to be recordings of all the live presentations, like I said, and there's a 6-week challenge contest, which was covered in that first email. I'll touch on that here in a second. Now, as far as the topics that we're going to cover in the next 6 weeks, now most of you kind of, jumped on this because of nutrition, and that's going to absolutely be the number one thing. It's going to be the basis of what we're going to cover. However, we are getting into other things too. And a lot of people, you've tried diets or you've tried to eat a certain way, but maybe you haven't had success. And the reason you haven't had success is because, there's a lot of other factors that aren't talked about in the media. And so you're just calorie counting, or you're doing some fad diet that doesn't last forever. It's not I call those diets a short-term solution to a long-term problem, right? We eat 3, 4, 5 times a day, every day for the rest of our life. So we need to know what to eat and when, and that's what we're going to cover in nutrition. Additionally, movement, mobility, and workouts are important. A lot of people get really excited about working out, but to be honest, I've gone to the same gym for a number of years, and probably in the last 5 years, there's people that I see every week on the treadmill, and they look worse today than they looked 5 years ago. And I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm just saying that, they're working out, but their diet and their lifestyle is out of whack, and so they're not going to get the results that they want. Okay, so movement, mobility, workouts are important, but they're secondary to nutrition. And then when we take a step further, this is where a lot of people have never gone before, and this is where a lot of the results lie that I want to teach you and educate you and take you to the next level. So we're going to have to look at things like gut health and hormones and toxicity and sleep and stress and neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals that essentially control your brain and control your energy and your thoughts and your focus. A lot of people have neurological issues. It might be brain fog, it might be depression, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, but neurotransmitters are very, very important to address and to cover. Additionally, inflammation. Inflammation is a killer. Inflammation is a silent killer. So, we sprain our ankle or we tear something in our knee or our shoulder, and of course we feel inflammation as an injury, but there's low grade silent levels of inflammation in your body that are causing weight gain, causing water retention, causing all kinds of problems. And so we need to address that. And then there's supplementation. And you can never out supplement a bad diet, meaning that, a lot of people eat whatever they want and they spend hundreds of dollars on supplements, and that's just a waste. But there are supplements that have been proven to work. There are supplements that make a difference, and we will get into some of that. Dr. Tim Jackson is amazing with supplementation and knowing, what does what and what you should use. And so we'll definitely cover that in some of his presentations. Okay, so let's talk about your plan for success. And guys, I'm going to move through this. I only have about 15 slides tonight. We're already probably a third of the way through. So I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. And then I want to take time for discussion and questions and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So I will make sure to look at the chat log here as soon as I'm done. So if you have questions, you're welcome to throw them in the chat, or you can ask them live when we're done. Okay. So the first thing, I started talking about it, but your plan for success is the paleo transition. You want to go through the educational videos. You can log in, use your username, password, log into that, watch on the education tab. There's a bunch of videos. They're great. There's bonus features that are also, educational things you can learn. Go through those. Get familiar with the success documents. You don't need to know every success document, but just look at them. Know what's there. And if you struggle with sleep, well, make sure you print out or at least look at the deep sleep checklist. That's a great thing for you to look at to help you sleep better. If you are doing this with your family for the first time and you're like, man, this real food's expensive, make sure you look at the budget and buyer guide. I give you the best tips and some resources to save money. Costco now has tons of organic and great options that you can buy at a discounted price. And of course, if you have questions about that, anything, make sure you share in the group. There's people in the group who have been doing this for years and who are very experienced and want to help you. And of course, I want to help you. So this program will be your baseline education to help you have success in the program and begin to transition towards real food. Okay. And again, it's transition. We don't need to go all in overnight. Okay. I'm going to give different advice to different people depending on who you are and what your goals are. So do you have health issues? Is your goal weight loss? Is your goal performance? Okay. So as I get to know everybody in the group, just take it with a grain of salt, how I'm answering the question, because the answer for you might be different than somebody else. And I'll try to preface that when I answer questions, just so you know. The Facebook community is where it's at, okay? This is where it's at on a daily basis. You guys have already been great. You've been active. You've been posting stuff, posting goals. But you want to allow yourself to be held accountable. The more you share in here, the better. The more community we create, the more interaction we create, the better we're going to do. And guys, the paleo transition, when I created that, I realized that most programs just are an action plan. Hey, here's a meal plan. Hey, here's a workout. But they're skipping some important steps. They're skipping the education you need to know why you're doing what you're doing and to create a lifestyle. If you're not educated and don't know why you're doing it and don't know the rules or the basic guidelines, then you're not going to be able to do it when you're taken out of your day-to-day routine. If you or your wife doesn't prepare food, then you're not going to have it. But if you understand the guidelines and how to live this lifestyle, you can be at an airport and know what to do. You can be at a restaurant and know what to do. You can be traveling and know what to do. So I want to set you up for success in any area of your life and make it a lifestyle. It's not about a meal plan, okay? There are meal plans that I'll share. I have 3 different 3-day paleo guides that give you a meal plan. They give you recipes. They give you exactly what you need. That's great, but I want you to be educated enough that you can make the best decision no matter what environment you're thrown into. And again, your interaction inside the Facebook group is going to be great for that, and it's going to be very helpful. Okay, the weekly webinar presentations, again, they're going to be Monday nights at 7. I'll record them all. I'll try to give a short presentation about some topics that are of interest in the group based off of what's going on the Facebook group. I have some things I think are important, but I will definitely base it off of the conversation and the feedback that I'm getting from you guys. And so if there's questions or things you're confused about or you want to know more about, absolutely post them in the Facebook group on a daily basis. I'll answer the question, but if it's a more complicated topic, I'll add it to the list for the next live presentation. So one of the things that you want to check out inside the paleo transition, there's something called diet check records. And if you're a real detailed person, these are great. You write down your meal, you write down how you felt afterwards, and you kind of chart. You start to journal about how different food is making you feel, and you can learn a ton from that. And that's great for the people who want to do that. But if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just use a note in your iPhone or email yourself and just track your meals for a day or two, okay? And I want to see them. I want you to post them in the Facebook group. You don't have to be extremely detailed. I mean, be as detailed as you can, but just tell me what you're eating. And then I'm going to go through and review those diet check records or meal journals. And the feedback that you're going to get from that is going to be extremely helpful. And when you witness or observe me teaching that to somebody else, you're going to learn a ton because you're going to start to see mistakes that you might be making as well. That's one of the most helpful things that I'm going to do in this program is you're going to submit your meal journals and I'm going to review them live for you, give you exact feedback, okay? And when you submit them in the Facebook group, please also just say, what your goal is. Hi, my name is Terry. My goal is performance. I don't want to lose weight. I have autoimmune issues. Boom, that's it. Give us just a real brief overview of what your goals are, who you are, and then show us your meals, and then I'll be able to give you great feedback. Again, guys, we have access to some amazing professionals, medical doctors, chiropractors, other nutrition and fitness gurus, and Tim Jackson, who's a good friend of mine, who's an amazing functional medicine practitioner. You guys are going to be in for a treat listening to these interviews with these professionals. So make sure that when I post stuff, that if you have questions for these specific professionals, that you feel free to ask them. And if there's anything that's personal that you want to ask, but you're not comfortable, you can email me if you need to. But any questions that I answer, I prefer that you put them in the Facebook group because I want to answer them for everybody. So everybody gets that knowledge. Everybody gets to see the answer because there's other people who will have the same answer and can learn from that. Again, the bonus materials like the Jerf cookbook and a bunch of other stuff is going to be emailed to you. You guys can expect about 2 to 3 emails per week. I'm numbering all the emails. So for your records, if you want to pull them back later or archive them, they'll be numbered. Okay. So, the TG, the Get Real Challenge. So TGRC 1, TGRC 2, 3, so on. You guys noticed the one today that came out was number 2. I'll number all of them in the future so you can keep them in order. All right. The challenge component. Okay. So there is a 6-week challenge or contest in here. There's going to be prizes. I'm still working on finalizing some of the prizes for the end. I'll definitely announce once I finalize those in the Facebook group. but there's going to be supplements. There's going to be extra personal coaching. There's going to be some health and wellness related prizes for the people for first, second, and third place. Now, some of you guys aren't motivated by that, and that's fine, but some people like a little friendly competition, and they want that engagement, in the community. And so if you want to engage in the challenge contest, I highly, highly recommend you do, because people who do usually their results are better. Okay. So in that email number 1, and I also copied it on email number 2 at the bottom, it gives you, what you need to do if you're interested. You want to, participate in the community. So you're going to be graded essentially in 4 areas. So to win that challenge, there's 4 components that you'll be graded on. Okay. Your participation in the community, being accountable and supporting others. Okay. So it's not about knowing everything, but if you're supportive and sharing tips and sharing recipes and being a good, just a good friend and a good partner to people in the group, that's great. That means a lot. I want you to submit at least 1 food journal per week. Okay. So I say in here by every Sunday night, please submit 1 food journal. I say 3 days. If it's 1 or 2 or 3, that's fine. You just need to be tracking something, getting feedback on what you're eating, and let me give you some feedback. Okay. Baseline body composition. This doesn't have to be perfect, but you definitely need to take your weight. If you want to take some measurements and do a before picture, those things would all be great as well. If you're comfortable sharing them in the Facebook group, please do. If not, just email me. Baseline performance test. Some of you guys, you don't need to lose a ton of weight. You're just looking to get healthier, make changes. And so I don't want to, discriminate or discourage you from trying to win the challenge. And that's why I threw this baseline performance test in there. So, if you're working out, if you're looking to improve your squat or improve your deadlift or improve your 400 meter, your mile time or your 5K time or whatever it may be, whatever you enjoy doing, you can use that as your baseline performance test. And I give you some examples in that email of things you could do. How many push-ups in a minute, how many air squats in a minute, things like that. But do a baseline performance test to see where you're at and to see how much you can improve in the next 6 weeks. So please, again, share as much as you can with the group. Post questions in there. Again, this group is private, obviously, so your other Facebook friends can't see what you post. I want this group to be a friendly, a safe place where everybody's supportive and people can share as much as they want and they don't feel self-conscious. They don't feel like they'll be judged. We're here to help you. We're here to make this a positive, great experience for everybody. And guys, there's people in this group that are super smart, that have done, coaching with me for years. And so they can give you fantastic feedback as well. Okay. There's a concept in a book that I love. It's called The One Thing. And I don't know if anybody's read that book, but it poses the question, and this question could be posed to your financial life, your marriage, your business, your parenting, your faith life. It could be any area of your life that you want to improve. And it basically says this: what is the one thing that I must do, such by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Okay. So what's the one thing? And in this context, I want you guys to think about this with this program, okay, with your health and wellness, okay? What is the one thing you must do, such by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary, okay? And make your 3-day goals based around that, okay? And a lot of you are throwing out 3 or 4 things, and that's fantastic. If you think you can keep to 3 or 4 things, that's great. If you want to make it just one very specific thing, that's fine too. So when I look at success in this, I think the one thing that I see over and over that makes this easier and successful for people is meal preparation. So I would highly encourage you and your family, or you and some friends, once to twice a week, get together and spend an hour or 2 and prepare a bunch of meals. And I always tell people, if you're cooking dinner by yourself or as a family, always use that time to cook extra. It doesn't take much more time to cook, 2 pounds of ground beef as it does to cook a burger. It doesn't take that much time to cook, 3 bags of frozen vegetables than it does 1. So make sure that you're always making extra food, because the thing that takes time is setting up and cleaning up and things like that. So you might as well make triple the amount of food and only spend an extra half hour than having to do it every day. So I would highly, highly recommend that people consider meal preparation. Sunday and Wednesday night are great times to do it, but you can obviously do it whenever you want. But if you're cooking dinners for you and your family, always make extra, because if you have the food there, you will eat it. And that is what makes a huge difference for people, is people having the food available. If it's in the refrigerator, if it's already cooked, if it's available, you just have to heat it up or pull it out, you're going to do great. But when you're tired and you're hungry and you don't feel like cooking, that's when it becomes a challenge. Okay. So that's probably the one thing that I would highly recommend people consider. But look at the paleo transition stages. That's a document in the program. It's a PDF. You can download it. You can print it out, do whatever you want with it. The stages, actually, let me pull it up just so everybody can see this. If you haven't gone through here, I guess it's 5 pages technically, but it's got an overview up here. It shows some different things. It gives you steps, okay? So it gives you beginner, intermediate, beginners up here, intermediate, and then advanced steps. You can read these. You can go through them. You can even make your own up. There's things that you might need to go through. But down here on the last page, there's a chart, okay? And so if you're a beginner, if you're just starting, okay, look through these things. See what makes sense to you. What's meaningful yet doable. Meaningful meaning like you're pushing yourself, but it's doable meaning you can do it. You can fight through. You can do it, okay? So like some of these intermediate steps are you're going to go gluten-free, or you're going to go dairy-free. You're going to lower your caffeine intake. You're going to completely eliminate grains. Some beginner steps might just be, getting rid of sugary drinks, limiting or stopping alcohol intake, getting rid of processed sugar. Maybe you don't get rid of dairy completely, but you just stop milk. Okay, so these are things that you can consider for your 3-day goals. And the goal is just to one by one sift through these and move down the sheet, move in the right direction, move from the standard American diet towards a diet of real food. You don't have to be perfect, but you just need to make progress on a daily basis. And I break it up into 3 days because I think that is an amount of time where you can feel the success, but it's not overwhelming to fight through it, right? So 3-day goals are going to be very important. We're going to break things up and, again, make them meaningful but doable. Pick that thing to focus on. If you succeed, then let's jump ahead and let's double down. So on day 4, you get a new 3-day goal, and you add one more thing or 2 more things to the list. But, hey, if you struggle during those first 3 days, maybe you keep it the same, okay? And so we'll just, we're here for your feedback, for coaching, for help. But, if you struggle, you just need to reassess, make some adjustments, and move forward. But these 3-day goals have been very helpful for people in the past because it makes something that feels overwhelming, it condenses it into a very doable short period of time. There's diet check records I talked about. And guys, here's the thing. With this paleo that's misunderstood or real food, the challenge is that paleo doesn't measure anything. It just talks about food quality. So it says you can have meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. But it doesn't tell you what to eat, how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat, how many sugars. It doesn't count calories, doesn't count points, doesn't count macronutrients. Okay, so almost every other diet or lifestyle is counting things, which I think is no fun. It stinks. It's not a good way to live. It's not a long-term solution. Okay, that's why people fall off those things, because they don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and they're just counting some magic number, and it won't work. Nobody ever did that for their lifetime. Okay, so because we're not measuring that, it gets hard for people. And they get a little confused, even though they're eating real food. Okay, so you might have one person that has, a power omelet and a piece of bacon and some avocado for breakfast, and another person who has a banana and some nuts. Well, both of those are considered paleo type foods. They're considered real foods, but the omelet with vegetables and egg, and it has a lot of protein and fat and great veggies, that's going to be a way better meal than the banana and the nuts. Okay. And so those are the things that we need to learn, we need to go through. They both would be called paleo real food, but they're totally different diets. So there are guidelines on what foods are acceptable, but there's not rules on how much to eat, when to eat, food combinations, what to do when it's not working, things like that. So that's why I'm here. That's why this program is going to be different for you. You're going to get results because we're going to fine tune things and take it to the next level. Okay, so submitting meal journals and getting feedback. I already talked about this, but this is the absolute best way to get results, okay? It's extremely helpful. You got to do it. You'll learn a ton seeing me critique these and give feedback, whether it's yours or whether it's for other people. And this is going to be a very helpful exercise. All right. So what should I eat? Okay. So some people have already been through the online program, the Paleo Transition. They've been through the videos. They've been through the documents. They have a pretty good idea what to eat, what not to eat. Again, the food journaling and feedback is going to be the best exercise. But let me just give you some basic tips on what you should eat. Okay. The answer is just eat real food. All right. So can you grow it? Can you pick it? Can you kill it? Okay. Can you grow it? Can you pick it? Can you kill it? If the answer is yes, then you should eat it. If the answer is no, then don't eat it. Okay. It's that simple. Now, what is real food? Okay. So there's going to be some times when we get into some discussions about things. What about white potatoes? What about sweet potatoes? What about rice? What about quinoa? What about oatmeal? Things like that. Okay. So quinoa and oatmeal and rice are grains, so you're going to do better without them. But if you're currently eating bread and pasta and a bunch of stuff, then great. Move in the right direction. Move towards those things. Get rid of bread and pasta and have quinoa, rice, and white potato. Okay, that's okay. And we'll continue to talk through that. But most people, especially if you have health issues, especially if you've had any gut issues like digestion, or if you've had depression, anxiety, skin issues, anything like that, a lot of times you're going to do way better without dairy and without grains. Another one is inflammation, so joint pain, migraines, things like that. I always see people do way better with no dairy and no grains, okay? So again, it's the food that is available in nature without the aid of man to process, okay? So oatmeal is still processed, okay? There are some things, grains that like I said, rice and quinoa, things that are still gluten-free, those might be okay for some people. But real food, by my definition, is food that's available in nature without the aid of man to process, genetically modify, add sugar, or add other harmful chemicals or preservatives, okay? So anything that takes those processes is not real food. Most packaged goods with labels would not be considered real food, okay? Additionally, other real food type diets, maybe you guys have heard of some of these, and there's definitely some similarities to what we're doing here. The caveman diet, the primal diet, there's many variations: paleo, real food, Mediterranean diet. There's a ketogenic diet, which is a super low carb to no carb type diet. There's vegetarianism, there's veganism, there's all these things that overlap, okay? And there's actually a lot of similarities in some of these diets. And so, I don't want people to get too caught up on, is this paleo? Is this not paleo? Because it's easy to do. I just want to try to move you in the right direction. Those are going to be good questions, but there's going to be some people in here who are healthy, who are athletes, who can get away with eating some of these foods. And there's going to be people who are, new to this and who are not ready to go all in. And so we're going to just transition you over time. So paleo foods, just to understand the goal, you don't have to be perfect, but we're moving in this direction, includes all animal proteins. Okay. So meat, chicken, fish, eggs, and preferably properly raised. Okay. That means that the animals were fed properly. Cows are meant to eat grass. They're meant to graze on the grass, get sunlight, get air, have space. They're not meant to eat grains. When they eat grains, they get fat, they get sick. They need to be given antibiotics. They need to be given steroids. That goes into the protein, into the fat and the meat, and we eat that, okay? So we want to buy animal proteins that are properly raised. there's people here who know of farmers. You can get access to stuff at a great price if you're willing to buy in bulk, way cheaper than the stores. But Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, natural grocers, even Hy-Vee and Bakers, a lot of these places are starting to carry grass-fed beef and other, good stuff. However, if you're new to this and you're on a budget, I would still rather you eat these things, even if they're not perfectly raised, than you eat sugar and grains and processed dairy. Okay. All common vegetables, that the asparagus, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, all the common vegetables of, those are all included. There's root and tuber vegetables. Okay. Root and tuber vegetables are more starchy, more carby. Those things would include things like sweet potatoes, yams, beets, carrots, squash, things like that. So those are great sources of carbs if you're an athlete and training hard and you still need to bring in some carbohydrates. Of course, all fruit is technically paleo, but you definitely want to be careful with fruit, especially if weight loss is your goal, because a lot of times it can still spike and crash your blood sugar and cause unwanted symptoms. Nuts and seeds are included. Peanuts are technically a legume, a bean, and so you want to be careful with those. Also, peanuts can be highly inflammatory. A lot of nuts and seeds, you need to be careful in the oils that they're in. You want to get them raw. It's okay if they have some sea salt, but you definitely want to be careful of the oils. Vegetable oil and high omega-6 oils are not good if the nuts are roasted in them. Okay, so paleo foods exclude grains. So all grains, I know this sounds crazy when you're first hearing this, like how can whole grains not be healthy? Well, grains are very pro-inflammatory. They disrupt our gut. They're not nutrient dense. They're not highly absorbable. They have anti-nutrients in them. They literally steal other nutrients from our gut lining. There's a lot of information in this about the course that you can watch. Also, dairy is highly processed, highly inflammatory. And legumes are probably the least offensive of them. So some people can eat legumes and be okay with that. And I'm okay with that. If you don't have health issues, you can absolutely keep legumes in your diet. White potatoes are technically not included. But again, some people might do okay with them occasionally. And then, of course, refined sugar is the most offensive, the thing we want to get rid of for everybody. We want to get rid of refined sugar as fast as we possibly can. Okay, so a lot of people are doing this because they want to lose weight, they want to feel better. But guys, there's a lot of medical research that, again, is not understood by the medical community, or I should say, not the medical community, not understood by the traditional media, okay? Also, the medical community, a lot of doctors are very well-meaning, but they don't have time to keep up on research. They don't have time to know nutrition. Nutrition is separate than medicine. They're two different things. But there's a lot of medical research that shows that eating this way, eating real food, is absolutely beneficial to your health, can reverse autoimmunity, can reverse inflammatory disease, and can help fight the diseases of civilization. So the diseases of civilization are diseases that have been highly prevalent over the last 50 to 100 years. But before that, they were rare, okay? Your grandparents, some of you on here, your parents, some of us, our grandparents, they didn't have these diseases. They weren't, it's horrible. We know people dying young of cancer, of heart disease, of diabetes, of neurological disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, you name it. And autoimmune disease is a huge one. I've had autoimmune disease. A lot of people in this group I know do. And so the 5 diseases of civilization are heart disease, cancer, diabetes, neurological disease, and autoimmunity. Those things can all absolutely, and there is proven research science to back it up, that changing your diet to a real food diet can help combat those, reverse those, and stop you, lower your risk from getting them. Okay, obesity and weight gain is obviously a no-brainer. That's at the top of the list. Okay, so performance and wellness. Okay, so the top 3 benefits of a real food diet. And again, guys, there's a lot of information on this in the course, but I just want people to grab these high-level things. I got one more slide, then we're going to get into questions. But I want you to be educated. I want you to know why you're doing this. I want you to know why you're going through the trouble to change your lifestyle, to buy groceries, to cook food, to take a little extra time, to invest in yourself, okay? we're doing this. We're moving towards real food because we want to lose weight, because we want to feel good. We want to feel, look, perform our best. And three of the mechanisms that are proven to improve or be affected by eating real food are: one, this is an anti-inflammatory diet, okay? So lower inflammation reduces the risk of injury, reduces the risk, improves recovery, reduces the risk of disease. It lowers joint inflammation, lowers gut inflammation, and speeds healing. Okay, so again, guys, you don't feel inflammation. A lot of people never feel heart disease. Heart disease is low-grade inflammation in your arterial lining. People never feel it, but you're causing it with the diet you're eating. Okay, so hormonal response. This is a huge one. Okay, improved hormonal response. The first hormone we can control is our blood sugar. So we want to maintain, stabilize our blood sugar on a daily basis. And if we do that, we can improve the response of our other hormones, even our sex hormones in our body. If we're eating a diet high in fat, good fats, omega-3 fats, fats that, the fat, I call it in the program the F word, because it's like this dirty, bad word that people don't understand, but fat is good for you. Fat is healthy. And a higher fat, moderate carb diet is going to improve your hormonal state. It will help increase lean muscle, lower body fat, and increase strength and performance. So controlling our blood sugar, controlling our diet is going to help with hormonal response and help us put on lean muscle. The third one is nutrient density. This is a big one. People say, oh my gosh, I need grains, I need dairy. Oh my gosh, I saw a commercial that says this and that. Guys, it's all a bunch of lies. It's never been proven. Even when in the program I talk about how these things came about, and there was literally a government hearing, congressional hearing, talking about the food pyramid and what we should recommend. And the scientists that were involved, literally there's quotes of them saying, no, we don't recommend this. And the politicians said, we don't care. We have to put something out now. We're in a hurry. Let's get it done. So this was the food pyramid that we've been believing the lies of for 50 years. It was not made by scientists. It was made by politicians who were feeding, their friends had their hands in their pocket, who were grain farmers, dairy farmers, and agricultural interest groups, okay? They're the ones that made this diet, not scientists, not anybody in the health and nutrition world. But the lie has been repeated over and over and over for years, and we kept believing it. So grains and processed dairy are not nutrient dense. They're pro-inflammatory. But the highest nutrition per gram of food will increase the delivery of important nutrients and fuel in your body and optimal physical and mental performance, okay? So here's the thing. You need to eat these real foods that I'm talking about because they will give you the most nutrition, most bang for your buck, essentially, okay? These are the three biggest reasons why we want to move towards this in a scientific way. Okay, the final thing I'm going to talk about tonight, and then we're going to take some questions here, is blocking factors, okay? So one of the things that I'm big on, and you're going to learn a ton about in the next 6 weeks, is blocking factors. I talked about gut health, hormones, sleep, stress, toxicity, okay? Those are things that nobody talks about. Everybody talks about, oh, just count calories and do cardio. And guys, it doesn't work for a lot of people. Even if it works, it doesn't work long-term, doesn't give you the best results possible, okay? So we need to look at blocking factors on top of our diet, on top of our workouts. We need to look at factors, any physical, mental, emotional, physiological, environmental, or lifestyle factor that interferes, disrupts, or stops progress of a desired goal, whether it be weight loss or health, with respect to feeling, looking, or performing one's best. Okay, so we're going to look at a lot of blocking factors, a lot of factors that a lot of you probably have never looked at before. We're going to get into in detail, and I'm going to teach you, and along with these other experts, we're going to teach you how these things are hindering your weight loss, hindering your health, and sucking the energy out of you. So, again, these factors are the exact reason why many people have struggled in the past. Maybe you've lost 10 or 15 pounds, but you can never lose the 30 or 40 or 50 that you really want to, okay? So when we address these factors and we change up your entire lifestyle, we're going to get the results that you deserve. All right, guys. Let's review real quick the action steps for week 1. The first thing you want to do is, if you haven't done so, make sure you get into the Paleo Transition Program. You go through the slides, the videos, the documents. Definitely go through all the videos if you can, and at least be familiar with what documents are in there. Look at the ones that are relevant to you or important to you. Review the stages document that I shared with you. That's going to be a great document you can use for your 3-day goals. Make sure you set your first 3-day goal, share it in the group, be held accountable, keep us posted how you're doing, tell us your struggles, tell us your successes, let us give you feedback, ask questions. And for those of you who want to participate in the challenge, which I would highly recommend you guys do, get your baseline weight, your measurements, your pictures, etc., completed if you want to participate in the challenge, because that'll start right away, and that's how the winners for the challenge are going to be chosen. Okay, I'm going to jump in here in the chat. Let's see here. I'm in the chat right now, and I am going to answer some questions here. Then I'm going to jump over to Facebook. I believe you have the ability to unmute yourself. So if you have a question, you are welcome to unmute yourself and ask the question. Just please mute yourself after you ask, because I just want to keep the recording clean and I want to make sure everybody can hear. There's one question here I'm going to ask. What is the rule on the other? Let's see. Jim Mazzini is asking about meat. He's asking about, I believe he's asking about tuna. Tuna and pork are both acceptable. Pork is when you really want it to be pasture raised. You really want it to be properly raised, because pigs are fed horribly and treated poorly. So if you can get pasture raised pork, I'm all for it. Tuna, there's a lot of concerns about meat in a can. Could you eat some tuna on an occasional basis out of a can? Absolutely. It's still going to be way better than most other things. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with pork and tuna. Absolutely. Chelsea said, great stuff. Thanks. Owen says, good stuff. All right, guys. Good questions. Feel free, guys, to post in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself. And guys, I know that we're throwing a lot of information at you, but here's the deal. Week 1 is going to be like drinking out of a fire hose. I just want to give you everything you need to succeed, but don't feel like you have to know everything right away, because I want you to go at your own pace. I want you to learn and go through the things you want to go through. And so I don't want to hold anything from you. Okay. So I want you to just dive in, learn as fast as you can. And then each week we're going to fine tune and coach more and more and more and get more specific. Okay. So I'm going to open up the Facebook deal here real quick. Let's see what we got. If we got any more questions. Okay. So Chris had a great question. And so she talks about, some people call it FODMAP. But guys, we're going to get a lot into food sensitivities. Okay. So a lot of people have food sensitivity. She knows she has some serious ones where there's certain foods she can't eat, she doesn't do well with. So Chris, for you, Bryce Teager is an absolute awesome resource. He gave a great comment here. And I personally eat what's called like an autoimmune paleo diet. So you can look that up, do some research on it. But it's a diet where it's paleo, but you actually also eliminate eggs, nightshades like tomatoes, and potatoes. So I don't eat sweet potatoes, I don't eat eggs, and I don't eat nightshades. So, but I have found that I'm okay with some white potato occasionally. And so if you have some serious gut issues or some food sensitivities, absolutely you want to eliminate those foods. Now, guys, some of you think you don't have food sensitivities, but you do. And now a food sensitivity isn't necessarily an allergy. An allergy is like, you eat something and you go into anaphylactic shock and you need a EpiPen. That's an allergy. A sensitivity is when you eat something or you come and encounter something and you get an inflammatory response or an immune response. You get skin irritation, you get fatigue, you get joint pain, you get irritable, you get edgy. you'll if you start to food journal and you start to feeling bad, having symptoms that you don't have all the time, you're going to start to realize, okay, maybe these foods are causing these symptoms. Okay. So we're going to get a lot into food sensitivities, into journaling. Dr. Tim Jackson will talk about testing you could have done. But I would rather you save your money and you do an elimination diet, which is getting really, really strict, taking anything out that you think might be the culprit, and then eating that way for 2-3 weeks, and then in the third or fourth week you bring back in one thing. So if you eliminated eggs, you bring back in eggs, have them 2 or 3 times in a 2-day period, see how you feel. It's not just how you feel right when you eat them, it's how you feel for 2 or 3 days. Okay, so if you're struggling with joint pain, with anxiety, depression, migraines, irritable bowel, whatever, it's not what you ate right now, it's what you've eaten the last 2 or 3 days that can literally catch up with you and cause symptoms. So keep that in mind. But we'll get more into this. Chris, you can post more questions if you have them. Again, like I said, Tim Jackson and I are going to get into a lot of detail, and I assume Bryce and I will too in our presentation. All right, I'm going to pull the chat back up here. Okay, Myron says, what's your favorite place to go if you're out and you don't have food on you, somewhere you can grab something and go? It's a tough one because when you eat out, you can still eat paleo foods, but they're gonna cook them in the bad oils. The meat might not be the best quality. So I'm just saying that for the person who's really strict, but for the person who's just starting, there's some good places to go. I literally, for corporate wellness group that I coach on a weekly basis, I made a menu, and these guys are like construction workers. They think I'm nuts. They don't want to do half this stuff. And so I put together a menu. I'm going to post that. I'll post that in the Facebook group, Myron. Remind me if I don't do it right away. But it is it's a really good idea. Like, for example, okay, Qdoba or Chipotle, like those are good options where you can get a burrito bowl, so you can get meat and vegetables and extra guac in there. Somebody's saying Eat Fit Go, or there's also the Paleo, Evolve Paleo. You can literally buy pre-made meals from those places at a pretty reasonable price. But if I'm in a bind, I'd say like Chipotle or Qdoba are decent. Five Guys burgers, you can get a burger wrapped in lettuce and tomato and vegetables. That's probably my go-to, is if like I'm really in a bind and don't have a good option. I love just getting a burger wrapped in lettuce with vegetables. That's probably the easiest thing you can possibly do. Great question. But again, you can, like people said, you can check out Eat Fit Go. You can check out Evolve Paleo. Those are other places. Whole Food Salad Bar. Whole Food Salad Bar is pretty good. There's not always a ton of great meat options, but you can get a good salad. You can get some steamed vegetables. If anybody has any other things, feel free to post them in the group and any other places that you like. Chelsea says, anything you should really avoid for hyperthyroid? Yes. So Dr. Jackson, we'll get into this in more detail. So hypothyroid, a lot of times is autoimmune based. So you really want to be strict paleo. Like if you have hypothyroid, you need to go on a strict paleo diet. You need to get rid of dairy and grains for sure. So a lot of hypothyroid, Hashimoto's specifically is a type that's autoimmune based and is shown to, people do very well on a gluten-free diet, but you need to go further than that. Like I really think you need to go strict paleo. So what you should avoid would be dairy and grains for the most part. Dr. Jackson again is a great resource on that. So we'll get into more detail there, but your diet's going to make a difference. You need to lower inflammation. Chelsea, I know you already take Protandim, but Protandim is a tremendous supplement for anybody with hypothyroid. I get a little bit into that in the course. But if you guys have questions on that or want to know more about any supplements, I can, we'll go through them, but I can post stuff in the group as well. Owen says, what are your thoughts on probiotics? Probiotics is an interesting one. I've been a big fan of probiotics. Probiotics, if you guys don't know, it's natural bacteria you're putting into your gut to build up your gut microbiota, which you want good bacteria, which has a lot of different, positive effects on your health. So I've been a fan of probiotics. I've used them. However, I've stopped using them personally in the last year. And somebody who's pretty healthy, who's just looking to be proactive, I think they're great for. You want to get a good one. And again, we'll post, I'm going to post some of our favorite supplements and like a supplement guide. It's one thing that with the other presenters, we're going to put together what we suggest. However, people who have severe gut issues like myself, Dr. Jackson's not a big fan of them because he feels that the bacteria can sift through the gut lining and get into your bloodstream and probably cause more immune reactions than they're helping. So the jury's out a little bit if you have severe gut issues. But if you don't, if you're just looking for weight loss, if you're looking to be healthy, then I think probiotics are great. You want to get one that has multiple strands, so many different strands of bacteria. You want to get one that's by a good company. If you have questions, feel free to post in the group and I can comment on them. Chris talks about Eat Fit Go, also Evolve Paleo. Marine loves Five Guys. Yeah, so Five Guys is pretty good. It's a pretty good option. Chris says, what about Chick-fil-A? A chicken, no bread, just grilled chicken? Yeah, any place where you can get more decent meat is going to be a good option. Any place you can get a salad with some meat. And if you're going to get a salad out, I highly suggest, you add avocado, nuts, bacon, hard-boiled egg, things like that. Hard-boiled eggs are great options because they're protein and fat. And so if you eat a traditional salad, with some vegetables and chicken, you're going to be starving in 2 hours or an hour because it's just not enough food. It's not enough fat. So you really want to put more fat on it. Add a hard-boiled egg, add avocado, add nuts and seeds, add things like that to your salads. That is going to be, salads are a great option. When you eat out, you really got to order like double and triple vegetables because they don't give you enough vegetables. We'll keep posting pictures and you guys will see. I eat a ton of vegetables and you should too. So the missing link for most of us is more vegetables and more fat. So those are the things that we're going to have to improve to increase satiety and increase, just increase results and increase your weight loss and you feeling your best. Okay, yeah. So Chris asked about a digestive enzyme. Absolutely. So people with health issues and gut issues, you definitely want to consider using a digestive enzyme to take before meals, probably before almost every meal if you have gut issues. But really, like Bryce mentioned earlier, you also want to consider like a period of time, whether it be 3 days, 5 days, as long as you can go, where you go on like an elemental diet or like a liquid diet. So you're having bone broth, you're drinking bone broth all day. You could he like he mentioned, pressure cooking or mushing up vegetables to make them easily digested. You can actually look up like an elemental diet where you use like a grain-free plant protein, or maybe a hydrolyzed beef protein, a pea protein, and you're having like a liquid diet for probably 3 to 7 days, and also taking some other supplements to help you heal your gut. So that's something, Chris, that we probably want to look more into for you, especially if you've had some serious gut issues. And again, marshmallow root is definitely good. Protandim, I can send you information or post it. That's a supplement that's amazing for lowering your inflammatory root. Everything you're saying there, yeah, marshmallow root, licorice root, oxball, absolutely. Those are things that are good for gut. You can also get from Designs for Health. You have to have a practitioner account, and some of the doctors I work with, I can get it for you. But they have a really powerful gut repair supplement that has, I think, all those things in there that you just mentioned, and then some, including like IgG to help rebuild your gut lining. So yeah, we'll keep talking about that, and I don't mean to put it off. We're going to get a ton of good information from these other experts on this topic. So good questions, good stuff. All right, I got to refresh my page here. I know there's some people posting in the group. And guys, feel free to post in the chat. Feel free to post in the Facebook group as well. All right. I think I've covered these. So Gary said he's new to Facebook. Gary, you can just post them right on a post, just like you just wrote on. I mean, you can post your 3-day goals, preferably at the top. You can just post them, just cut and paste them or write them out. Let's see here. Here's some comments. We got to check on these. So here's a good topic. So Lauren Hanna, who is very experienced, she's a super experienced athlete, does triathlons, a lot of high intensity, long distance cardio. So she was asking more about, could she have popcorn if the popcorn is non-GMO and it's cooked in coconut oil and yada, 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 like a healthy version. And so, yeah, so for somebody like her who's an athlete and who doesn't have gut health issues or health issues, absolutely can get away with that from time to time, but it's not ideal. It's a treat, okay? And then like she also posted paleo brownies, or there's paleo granola, paleo cookies. There's things like that. Those are better choices. They're going to be less pro-inflammatory. They're going to mess up your gut less. However, they're still not ideal, okay? They're still not perfect. They're still treats. Now, Lauren or the average person can get away with that, but somebody who has health issues, you're going to have less room for error. And so you're going to have to be more strict, especially for like a 30-day window. And especially if weight loss is your goal, then you're going to need to be more strict as well for a period of time. Gary asked about diet soda. Yes, diet soda, Dr. Winterstein, thanks. Brad jumped in there. Diet soda has artificial sweeteners, which by the name aren't real food. Some studies suggest a rise in insulin levels, which will inhibit weight loss. Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Winterstein. Guys, Brad Winterstein is a great doctor in the group as well. Expert. I'm going to share one of our interviews he and I did with you. So you get to meet him and get to learn about what he does. But yeah, diet pop is bad. Axio is a good option. Lauren talks about that. Other people. If you're friends with somebody who has access, is a LifeVantage distributor, you can get it from them. Gary, I'll send you the link to get Axio. Axio is an herbal drink that's sugar-free, that is great for focus and clarity. It's what's called a nootropic, and it helps with focus, and it's a great alternative to get off of pop or soda. And yeah, diet soda is definitely bad, full of toxic chemicals. Like Dr. Winterstein said, it can alter your blood sugar and cause some insulin issues. All right, let's see here. Guys, these are good questions. Feel free to shoot. I know we got a national championship football game on. Some people were giving me a hard time for kicking this thing off right now, but it's recorded. So if you guys missed the live, you're checking out the recording, that's great. Awesome, guys. 3-day goals. Everybody's posting them, sharing stuff. Any more questions? Feel free to unmute if you guys just want to ask me a question. Feel free to unmute yourself. Speak up. I'll be happy to talk to you. Fish oil, great question. Okay, so take a drink here. I've been talking too much. All right, so fish oil. Fish oil was something that, especially in the CrossFit community and kind of the paleo community, was real big back in the day. Rob Wolf was one of my mentors, really, and a brilliant guy who was one of the kind of the grandfather, one of the original paleo guys. Anyway, he was a huge proponent of fish oil originally. Since then, he's kind of backed off his statement. And so fish oil, I don't take it personally, okay? And should you take it? If you have a high quality fish oil, I think you could take small amounts of it. You're going to be much better to get real food, omega-3s from real food, like salmon and like grass-fed beef and properly raised animal proteins, okay? I say animal proteins, but those animal proteins have fats attached to them, okay? You're going to be better with that because here's the thing. Fish oil, the fat is the omega-3s in there can oxidize, can change, and then if you are taking oxidized fish oil, you're going to cause more harm than good. Okay, that's one problem. Additionally, the reason that fish oil is thought to be good and was originally thought to be good is because our diet has high levels of omega-6 fats in them. Okay, so saturated fat is not the problem. Saturated fat is okay if it's from properly raised animal proteins. Saturated fat is good for you if it's from properly raised animal proteins. The problem is omega-6 oils, man-made oils, canola oil, vegetable oil, okay, processed oils. These oils are high in omega-6. They're highly inflammatory. They're bad for your arteries, and they cause all kinds of problems. So in nature, if we just eat real food, paleo type diet, we're generally getting about, in a perfect diet, you'd be getting about 3-to-1 ratio of omega-3 fat to omega-6 fat. Okay, meaning 3 grams of omega-6, 3 grams of omega-3 to every 1 gram of omega-6. So you want more omega-3 than omega-6. And if you get that in your diet, it keeps inflammation down. It reduces your risk of heart disease. It reduces your risk of neurological disease. It's very, very beneficial. So the thought was, hey, we have poor American diets. Let's just take a bunch of fish oil to balance out that equation. The faulty thinking of it turns out it was faulty. The fact is that you cannot, if you're having high levels of omega-6, you can't correct them completely by just taking fish oil. Okay? So fish oil does oxidize, which means the fats can become rancid, can become ruined. That's a problem. And then the fact is that we eat too many omega-6. So this is a long answer, but it's an important thing. Number one, you're better off getting it through real food, wild-caught salmon, grass-fed beef, and the properly raised animal proteins. Number two, if you do take it, you need to get it from a solid, reputable source. The bottle needs to be tinted, so sunlight and heat, you can't control heat exposure, but sunlight especially kept out. So those are some things to take into consideration. And if you do take it, I would not be taking huge amounts. Like I would probably take 3 to 4 grams or less. Some people used to take like 10 grams a day of fish oil, and I would probably get away from that. Okay, Chris says, will there be accountability? Absolutely. So Chris, the accountability will be posting your 3-day goals to the group, sharing to the group what your goals are, sharing what you're doing for the next 3 days. Now, if you guys would like an accountability partner, which people can absolutely do, which would be awesome, just post in the group. Say, hey, my name is Chris. Here's a little bit about me. Here's my background. I'd love to get an accountability group or accountability partner. And we've had that happen before in other programs, and it's fantastic. You might have 3 to 5 people. Maybe you guys get in a private text chat too. But I would love as much interaction and accountability to be done on the Facebook page, because then I can help chime in and other people can help chime in and give feedback. But absolutely, accountability is key. Community is key. And we'll use the Facebook group for as much as that. But if you want a partner to keep in touch with privately as well, that's awesome. Post in the group, and I'm sure there'll be somebody who'd love to join you. Maureen says, is that still a good thing? I think she's referring to her question about fish oil.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So did I answer that?
Yes, you did. Thanks a lot, Terry.
You got it. You got it. You scared me. I heard a voice for the first time tonight.
Oh, sorry.
Anybody's welcome to unmute themselves, guys. I just wanted to keep the recording clean. But if you have a comment, if you have a question, I want this to be interactive. And guys, in the future, you know, you're going to get more weekly lessons that are recorded, like the guest experts and bonus stuff from me. So in the future, these calls are going to be like 80% coaching. I'm going to go through your diet journals. I'm going to answer your questions. We're going to talk about topics. We're going to talk about anything you want to talk about. And so I think, you know, that's more valuable. I'd rather record stuff, send it to you. You can watch it on your time and then use these live sessions to really get into the things you want to talk about, answer your questions, give you feedback. All right, guys. Any more questions? Looks like we answered them all in the chat. I think we're caught up here on Facebook. You can always ask on Facebook, of course. I apologize, guys. My video wasn't working tonight when I shared. I thought it was more important for me to share my screen than have the video, so I chose to make that work. But hopefully I will see you. I know some of you guys can see each other. Any more questions, guys? I know we've been on for an hour and 15. I want to respect everybody's time. I don't want to drag this on too long, but I'm happy to keep going if anybody has them. If not, let's just keep posting them in the Facebook group. And again, make sure you guys get your baseline stuff in this week. I said Wednesday, but just get it to me as soon as you can. I mean, I'd say by Friday or Saturday at the latest. And make sure you post those 3-day goals. All right. That's a wrap, guys. I'm going to end the recording here.
Thanks a lot, Terry.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Terry.
Thank you. We'll see you inside the Facebook group.
See you later, Terry.
Good night.